what is this? Sir, what is this?
My Pillow guy Mike Lindell says the lawsuit is a sham.
How dare him come and sue My Pillow?
They went after him. It was just terrible. This was a vicious weaponization of your government. But I'll tell you, he stood up. He's all man. He stood up strong.
Do I think you guys and them are a traitor to our country by what you did to My Pillow? Yes. We are made in America.
Lindell says he's lost hundreds of millions of dollars.
And nothing was going to faze him. And I want to thank you on behalf of everybody. Mike, you put up with a tremendous amount.
How do you guys sleep at night? You obviously don't have a My Pillow. That's a fact.
He's a great guy.
Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video he made and I was shocked. That guy's amazing and he's staying active well into his 80s. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by just making one change. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a very special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Lindell. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/Lindell. You won't believe how simple it is. To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
You ever see this guy with the pillows on Fox? My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell. He is the greatest. The My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell. And he's been with us right from the beginning.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lindell Report. Yes, I'm here in person right now. I've been so busy beyond belief. Of course, the attacks keep coming, and right now I've been at My Pillow for the past week and a half here at my corporate office. They're coming after me with everything from the IRS. They've came after us for 3 years now and attacking My Pillow. Keith Ellison, our Attorney General here in Minnesota, has come after my Lindell Recovery Network. And why do they keep attacking? One reason. They want me to quit talking about getting rid of the electronic voting machines and going to paper ballots and counted. You see on the screen there, you can go to mytrial.com or call 800-648-8986. Please call. We need to raise $120,000 in the next 2 weeks. This is for the new trial we actually can have because we won the $5 million challenge, and the judge in Colorado let the jury hear evidence from that, or that we had lost that, even though it was still in appeal. So this is great news, but I do need your help, everybody. We're going to bring in. Let's see. We have Kara, we have Patrick. Let's see who all we have here. Like I say, this is I'm very short notice. Hey, Kara, how you doing?
I'm good. How are are you, Mr. Lindell?
I'm doing great. Great to have you back. I was out almost as long as you. They're doing my own show. So, because I've been so busy trying to save or secure my pillow, we've been. By the way, everybody, if you use promo code L77, you're going to get all the specials there for my pillow that we have. And we can go over those products maybe a little later. But Kara, I'm actually coming in blind, hearing the news. Why don't you update me or update everybody? Because I have not watched the news. I have not listened to the news. I haven't been on social media for almost a week and a half. Now, I hear there's a lot of stuff going on with Obama. I see that. I hear that from everybody. Mike, what do you think of this? What do you think? I know nothing. So maybe you can give us an update on that. And then
Well,
we'll bring it. Yep, go ahead.
a lot of people don't know much about it because the mainstream media is largely ignoring it. Obviously, their darling Barack Obama is now being investigated, as well as his associates, by the Department of Justice. There's actually a grand jury investigation going on as we speak. People think it might be in Florida or here in D.C., but obviously that's secretive right now. Preferably would be in, obviously, Florida, where Mar-a-Lago is, because there is a more balanced jury pool there that would more than likely vote on indicting Obama, possibly Vice President at the time, Joe Biden, who, by the way, would not have presidential immunity for his actions in this conspiracy in 2016, as you know. Hillary Clinton, Clapper, Comey, and the rest of the intelligence crew, some campaign aides of Hillary Clinton, and the rest. So all of these people are now being investigated, and there is a grand jury out to decide whether or not that they should be indicted. Various things they could be indicted for. Legal experts are saying possibly seditious conspiracy, because they literally tried to stymie the executive branch in 2016 from doing a good job for this country with everything that they pulled with the Russiagate hoax. Other things like wire fraud, as well as obstruction of justice, coincidentally what they tried to get the J6ers for. Now they might be charged with obstruction of justice, 1512, and defrauding the American people, which is a crime that is punishable in jail up to 5 years. But obstruction of justice and seditious conspiracy, obviously 20 years in prison. President Obama and Biden, for their actions as president, might have that immunity, but Hillary Clinton certainly does not, and nor does Joe Biden for his time as vice president, when all of this stuff with Obama and Russiagate was really going on. And furthermore, Steve Miller and others are saying that really the statute of limitation, it hasn't even started, because the conspiracy continues till today. So the clock is still ticking when it comes to the conspiracy. There's no statute of limitations on conspiracy if the conspiracy is still ongoing, Mike. So a lot of people hopeful that there will finally be accountability, and for lack of a better term, finally we'll see Hillary Clinton locked up.
Right, and you guys, I want to now. I can chime in a little bit there. Let's go. I'm going to bring people back a little bit. I'm a former crack cocaine addict. I had never voted in my life, and up until the 2016 election, when I met then President candidate Donald J. Trump. But before that, I started looking a little bit at politics when Obama got in. I started to notice things that had changed. I didn't think politics affected me at all, but I started noticing things. I spent a lot of time in the inner city in Minneapolis, and of course, with the black vote and everything. Oh, here's because he was black, and all of my friends from down there that were black, and they voted the second time around. They started to see things, lies that were put out, that he became what I believe the great divider. The great divider. That's my belief. No one's taken that from me. I watched it happen in real time, and I watched things that happen that's going, hey, this was a lie, this was a lie, this was a lie, and all the lies. Well, then you watch. I watched the 2016 election, which I actually voted, met Donald Trump. And during that time, I'm going, okay, there was such a common sense thing, problem, solution, and common sense when him and I had talked. Well, a lot of the stuff during, Obama was a great speaker. That's what he was. I mean, the guy could talk, and I thank him. I do thank Obama for one thing, and that's when he gave Donald Trump, when he made a laughing stock out of him at that one event that one time, and everybody's probably seen it where he goes, wait, you know what? I am president. You will never be president. And he mocked Donald Trump in that room. That sparked him. I believe. You know what? I'm going to run, and I'm going to fix this country and help this country, and become what Donald Trump has become, the great uniter. He is a uniter of all people. I really believe he's a great uniter. Everybody loves our president. Some just don't know it yet. But I want to say something when you bring up the names of Brennan and Clapper, everybody. When those names got thrown in there, I had heard those names before, about 4.5 years ago. And where did I hear those names? When I was brought evidence from Dennis Montgomery, who worked for the CIA. This was the first evidence I was ever brought, everybody. And it's a thing called Hammer Scorecard, this device that the government developed to steal other countries' elections. And as the story goes, I kept hearing Brennan and Clapper got a hold of this and turned it on our own country. And they turned it on our own country. And so I believe there's so much stuff that can come out, that's going to come out. This goes back to not just the 2016, but before that, before Donald Trump even came to power. What got interrupted there was this takeover of our country by the people you've mentioned. And you know what? And they had a master plan, and I'd say there's other parts to it too, other people involved, but it's just pure evil. And to take our country. And this has been, like I've told everybody, God's given us grace where we're at now for such a time as this. It's all going to unfold. And then you see the media, Kara, going, I did see this going, because I brought it up to some of my little liberal friends or whatever, going, and people on the left going, look at this, your guy. And they go, oh, that's fake. That's just a cover up. That's fake. Well, when are things going to become real where, the media obviously is going to have to report this. Is CNN or other outlets reporting that about Biden and about Hillary? Are they reporting that, or is it just us at LindellTV?
It's really nobody in the mainstream media, and when they're reporting on it, they're saying it's a nothing burger, like this is just Trump's revenge, and all of the other obvious talking points you would think that they would have, saying, what did Obama do? There's no crime there, nothing to see there. Obviously, they were all in on it. We could probably prove if we really wanted to that they were part of the conspiracy, that they were arms of the government, that they promoted this Russiagate hoax. They were the ones who really promoted it back in 2016 and moving forward. So obviously, we had some clips that we played on the network yesterday. I believe it was MSNBC and CNN as well, just really mocking the investigation and saying that it was ridiculous. They haven't even seen any of the facts. They haven't seen any of the things that will be presented to this grand jury, which will be receipts, which will be evidence, will be depositions, which will be obviously statements. These people will be called in to make statements in front of this grand jury. And, the mainstream media hasn't seen any of this yet. They're already out there, sort of like with COVID, when they just went with that agenda without seeing any information for themselves, just reporting, the favored government or the favored party, which is the Democrat Party's talking points, which is that this is a ridiculous investigation. And, they will be proven wrong, as they always are. It takes a year or two before they start retracting their ridiculous opinions, but they will be proven wrong. I do believe that this is really the time, and it's going to happen before November, I believe, where there will certainly be an indictment, and Hillary Clinton and Obama and possibly even Joe Biden's names will be on that indictment.
Right. And I believe that, you guys, they got very clumsy back in 2016, because I will tell you this, even though I was just starting to dive into everything and learn about politics and everything. Remember, I met Donald Trump on August 15, 2016. But then I went all in with the campaign and stuff. Well, one of the things when they really believed, okay, even then with these electronic voting machines, everybody, I don't care what anyone says, they were going to steal that election, and if they had to, okay, if they had to, and I believe that they did steal a lot of votes then, but they didn't steal enough, and Donald Trump wins. But also, when you look back, they made mistakes. And one of the mistakes they made, this is when I'm a marketer, one of the biggest mistakes they made back then is they should have flip-flopped sex tape with Comer saying that we're going to investigate Hillary's emails. What they did, if everybody remembers, I'm going to take you back in time, they put out sex tape like right before I believe it was the third, it was either the first debate it was the second, either before the second or third debate. And when they did that, I believe it was the third debate. When they put that out, they put it out too early. So they put that out. Then a couple weeks later, after the whole country's going, he ain't going to run. He had no chance of winning. Then they come out and say, the FBI says, well, we're going to investigate Hillary. They were only saying that to cover their butts, that, hey, yeah, we're going to investigate it. Because they figured, now, if you'd have flip-flopped it, where this is the last thing the public heard was sex tape, that it would have been a whole different story. But thank God they're not good marketers, okay? They did it backwards, okay? They should have done this first, this second. But by doing that, now Donald Trump wins, and it shocked them all, going, now what do? They had to react very fast with Russiagate, all this stuff, and just go on full attack for years. So I think they're going to find everything, which it sounds like they already have, because they had to be pretty careless because they're in reactionary mode, not in proactive mode. You know what I mean? And it's just like the 2020 election, everybody. When the 2020 election came, and if all they had to do with the algorithm was predict somewhat what Donald Trump would get in votes, and they were off by about 9 million votes at least. They predicted he'd get in the high 68 million maybe, and he ends up getting around 80 million. That's the real total. So when you skim the whole country, you got to make sure you take enough so to get those swing states, and they did. So when they didn't have enough left to steal them, they had to react. And then in Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Georgia shut everything down in the middle of the night, which started the first deviation in history. And here we are today, 4.5 years later. And I am so, I'm hearing this for the first time, but you have a great president. And it's just like, I'll tell you, you're going to find out, everybody, these electronic voting machines and this device of how they steal our elections, who's behind it all. And I've told everybody, the Uniparty, the deep state globalists, and the CCP. I guarantee you that this will all tie together with this election stuff. The president just reached out, everybody, to all these states. He specifically mentioned Minnesota, where I'm at, California, and Texas, to get data from them, just like he did Colorado from the 2020 election and 22 and 24. Well, at Minnesota, the Secretary of State said, we're not giving you nothing. I mean, it's just like, I guess when you watch what we're up against obviously the media. That's what I asked you, I guess that when the media finally starts reporting these indictments, it'll actually has to happen. And I believe it's gonna happen. And I don't think it's going to take them trying to weasel out of it for a year. I think it's and a lot of stuff's coming out about the elections too. But this is exciting because I firmly believe Obama's went right from behind a lot of this. I mean, how many other people believe he was there holding the pen?
Well, basically, Obama was briefed along with Joe Biden. That was what was revealed in Tulsi Gabbard's receipts. Basically, this was actually a handwritten note by, I believe it was Clapp or Comey or Brennan. One of the three had handwritten notes saying that Joe Biden and Obama were briefed behind closed doors, that basically this whole Russiagate thing was a hoax, a campaign hoax, that Hillary Clinton and her aide made it up. She signed off on it. I think her name was Julianne Smith. This was the campaign aide of Hillary Clinton, who literally cooked up the scheme and had it literally rubber stamped by Hillary Clinton. It was fake the whole time, and they knew it. And this was told to Obama and to Biden in an intelligence briefing that it wasn't real, but they still went forward and perpetuated these lies to the media. Joe Biden appeared on the news. Obama repeated the lies. Obviously, Hillary Clinton did. They supported her campaign in doing so. So this is a conspiracy of obviously the highest order. Obviously, they knew all of this stuff was fake. This has been proven without a shadow of a doubt now. This is something that we all knew, but now that we have receipts on, now that Tulsi Gabbard, thank God, got in there, and you have to wonder, all these investigations into this in the past, maybe even like Mueller, like why didn't they find these receipts that Hillary Clinton literally, along with her campaign aide, cooked up this scheme, and Obama and Biden were briefed on it, and they knew it was fake the whole time, but they tried to cripple President Trump in that first term. In that first term, they literally tried to cripple the executive branch of the United States of America. That is seditious conspiracy. That is the definition of seditious conspiracy. So that's where we're at right now, and they committed real crimes. These are real crimes, and they have to be held accountable.
So if I call them all that guilty of treason and are being traitors, I suppose I'll get sued again, huh? Like I get sued every time I call somebody a traitor and a conspirator. And but no, they really are. And you know what another thing, everybody, is if you find out that some of these news outlets, because I really believe the Washington Post and CNN, I believe that those two in particular are tied to this. You have to have, I believe, you're sitting in a war room and they're going, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this. Here's what I want you guys to do in the media. You do this, because they've all have the same thing. And I believe those people should also go to prison. When if there's outlets out there that knew they were putting out disinformation, they should be sued beyond belief. They should be the real lawsuits, not the ones against your Fox Newses and Newsmax, because they spoke out about electronic voting machines, which we have the right to speak out about our government that in our elections. And I just think that there's so much of the media behind it too, and that's one of the reasons, everybody, you got to keep watching LindellTV and spread the word. We're publicly traded, MLMC, on the old over-the-counter, over the OTC market, and Kara's there every day at the White House, and Allison up at the Capitol, but you guys got to keep it here, because you're not going to hear that. That's what I would say. I haven't seen that on Fox News either. Or I suppose Fox is probably reporting that. They don't report elections, anything with election problems, but they might be reporting this. Are they reporting the Obama thing?
They are here and there, but just not as, much as you would think they should, because it is huge news. It's huge news that a former president and his, his aides and his associates, especially those in the intelligence community, are being investigated by a grand jury. This is huge news. When President Trump was being, indicted and mugshotted, this was literally all you could read about in all of the mainstream media. So it's shocking that they're not reporting this, obviously. They are, I guess, to be fair, Fox and Newsmax are doing some reporting, but just I don't feel like as much as they should be. I guess, maybe they're waiting to hear more. All of the information being presented to the grand jury is secretive. So, we wish we had access to that, because we would certainly be talking about it. But you could only imagine. I could only imagine the stuff that is being, turned over to that grand jury. Hopefully, Tulsi Gabbard, it doesn't let this go. There will be depositions as well. And the Congress, Comer, is calling in a number of intelligence officers. I believe Comey is one of them. Mueller is being subpoenaed as well. It turns out, it just broke in the news a day or two ago, that he spent the past couple of years in an assisted living facility, that maybe when the Mueller report was being conducted, he wasn't in his right state of mind, to be honest, because now it's being reported that he's not well. He's in an assisted living facility for the past couple of years. And if you remember some of his testimony, there was times when he would sort of blank out and he would speak a little bit strangely. Now that's coming out. So it should be interesting to see him sit for Congress, and I hope that these are public. I hope that they're not behind closed doors when they bring all these intelligence officials and FBI directors in front of Congress in October. That's when it's scheduled to happen. The American people need to see it. It should not be censored. It should not be behind closed doors. It should be televised for everybody to see.
Yeah, and I just I'm going to relate it to something that just happened to me. But we're in a situation now, everybody. But if I was there, if I'm them, I always put myself in the place of evil and going, now, if I'm them, I'm going to spread the narrative, which I'm sure the fake news is already doing, that, hey, They went after Donald Trump. We couldn't get him indicted. This is just retaliation. This is retaliation. That's what I would put out, that word. Retaliation, retaliation. And then you got more of divide, and people just they don't want their eyes to be open. Here's what happened to me, Kara. This was last Saturday or Sunday. I was with my family. We went to a pancake place, a breakfast place here in Minnesota. And I walk in, of course, everybody recognized me. And this lady, she shouts out, she goes, "Mike, you're a nice guy," but he goes, "You're on the wrong team." And I walked up, I said, "Well, what team is that?" I said, "We're all God's children." I said, "We're all people." I said, "Because I want to get rid of the electronic voting machines and secure our elections." I said, and I put her on her spot. She didn't know what to say. And I said, so, I'm thinking to myself, this is where we're at. It's like, why are there sides here? So, we're all people. And that's where I say that this is going to be interesting because, like I say, I always put myself in their position. They're going to go, "Oh, retaliation, this is what they're doing." But they'll try and block it as much as they can in that media. But once you get into real court, I mean, are they going to report the real things that happened in the court? We'll see. I don't believe they will. They can't. They really can't. They're losing. We're on the offense right now, and it's just desperation. So now, the one thing is, at least they're going to have to be concentrating over here on that. These people that if they get all charged, and maybe that'll keep them away from being or trying to steal everything over here, so that at least they'll be tied up for some time here till all the truth all comes out. But I think it's this is they're going to try to do everything to suppress it. How is social media with that? Like old Mark Zuckerberg over at Facebook? Because I haven't seen a lot. I guess I've seen. I guess that's where I knew there was something going on. But so maybe it is a little different that he's not covering everything up this time around with contains false information.
Right.
You know.
Well, X has been great on it. Obviously, X is where, most people get their news now, but Facebook, I haven't been on in quite a while. I was banned for life, believe it or not, after the, election in 2020 when everybody got basically deleted off of social media. I was one of those. I was reporting on January 6th. I was fighting against the unconstitutional vaccine mandates and for election integrity, like so many of us were at LindellTV. And my Facebook account disappeared off the internet. They told me I was banned for life. I currently have an ongoing lawsuit with them. But it's like going up against the machine. So, I haven't been on Facebook for a while. From what I understand, Zuckerbuck is attempting to pander a little bit more to the right because he realizes that, customers can be Democrats and Republicans, but still X is really the superior social media site when it comes to getting news.
Right, and I'll even give you one better, everybody. If you want election news, you go to Vocal. That's our social media site here at Lindell TV.
Yes,
we're connected. We own that. The public company. It's called Vocal, VOCL. If you go to the App Store, we're on both app stores where you can get both Lindell TV and Vocal. Or if you're already on Lindell TV and you can click and go right over to Vocal. So, and that's like Facebook on steroids. We have an election crime bureau over there, the Cause of America, everything, so you can find out what's going on in your own backyard. And speaking of that, I do want to bring on Patrick. Kara, thank you so much, and I know you're so busy there, and it's great to have you back. And you've been a huge blessing to Lindell TV, and you got in a great question with the president again. I mean, you are where it's at. And by the way, everybody, we've been told we're going to be in the press pool starting next week. Is that correct?
We should be in the press pool on Thursday. Yes, on Thursday. So we're looking forward to that. Obviously, hopefully it's a big day. Not this Thursday, but next Thursday.
Next Thursday, everybody. But Kara, it seems like the president just gravitates her around her, so she gets her questions whether she's in there or not. But it'll be a lot easier when you're inside the White House. So
it definitely will. Have a great show, Mike.
Yep, and check out Lindell TV on X. All Kara's stuff, the great things she's doing are posted there. You can go to my account or hers. All right, let's bring in Patrick Kolbeck. Patrick, are you there? See, Patrick, I almost used up all the time. Here I had you come on and talk about the past, and here. Well,
Well,
it's
we
a
could
good
be
segue.
talking about this stuff for years. Frankly, we are
Yeah,
going to be
it's
talking about it for years because there's so much information out there that hasn't been talked about in the last 5 years.
right. And you heard me say well, she was telling us about her Facebook being canceled. She still didn't have it back. They didn't cancel mine, everybody. What old Suckerbuck did to mine is when I send out, I would go live. It would go out to, I don't know, 100,000 people. I had 500,000 people on there. Well, all of a sudden, I'm going out live. Like when we were we had a great rally in June of Frank's speech rally in Wisconsin in June of 21. And when I was the only one sounding the alarm out there the media's attacking me, and I would go on Facebook Live. I go, and there's 7 people on it. I'm going, 7 people? Well, if you don't send out notifications, if he blocks your notification, nobody knows you're live. And so that's what
Yeah,
I
it's all
found that
shadow
out.
banning.
Yeah,
They did some explicit banning across the board. I mean, PayPal deplatformed me, so I couldn't take payments from them. I had Amazon.com, my book, The 2020 Coup, which now everybody knows it was a coup, guys. It's not a surprise.
Right.
We were over the target. They wouldn't let me advertise on Amazon for my book. They'd let me sell it, but they wouldn't let me advertise it. And then, we had even LinkedIn would go off and take down posts and messages. And of course, Facebook's probably one of the worst, as you mentioned. But
LinkedIn,
Mike, I don't know why.
Yeah, and everybody, I'm sorry to interrupt there, but when you mention LinkedIn,
Yeah.
you guys, these and Wikipedia, the people that own these things are so bad, so evil, it's unreal. When one of the first things that happened to me, Patrick, is my Wikipedia. Now I had a gal that just did my Wikipedia, and all of a sudden you get past 2020 there, past heck, it wasn't even, I think it was mid-month, and they grabbed Wikipedia, they banned her from doing any posts on it, and right away to this day, you know what I'm best known at? A conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah, they did
I'm
the
sure
same
you have
thing
the
for
same
me.
description. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I went to Wikipedia and they did the same hit job on me with a bunch of stuff. And I kept saying it's wrong. It's a lie. You need to correct this.
Right.
And I'd change it myself. And they say, no, that doesn't count. Yeah, it's all a big cabal. But, you were mentioning earlier about President Obama's achievements. Well, one of his other achievements was that he turned all the state legislators across the country, for the most part, red. There's folks like me that said enough is enough, and we decided to actually run for office to fight back against him, Obamacare, and all the other craziness that he was pushing.
Right.
So he did have another accomplishment, Mike.
Right. Well, that's a good point, because it actually got the attention of me, even though, like I say, I quit crack cocaine and everything January 16, 2009. But I was well aware of Obama being there. And I was even concerned that he would be reelected. I'm going, where is this all going? And like I say, a lot of my friends, my black friends, they were even concerned by that, going, hey, just because they realized that they voted, a lot of them just voted because he was black, not because what was he going to do. Of course, he told so many lies, and he's such a good speaker. That was the key, I think. They really put this person in there. But by the time, that second time around, everybody knew by then. The urgency was already there, even for that I heard across the board. There was a lot of things going, hey, he's single-handedly going to divide the country, destroy the country. I've never seen a bigger divide. There wasn't things back then like my friends are going, what is he talking about? He's spreading racism. That race, he was the spreader of racism. It was crazy, and
he makes for a great bookend on the grand conspiracy. You guys were talking about that earlier with Kara, because that's really what's coming out now, is that these aren't a bunch of isolated incidents. Russiagate, the Servergate, these guys are all this, the financial malfeasance we saw with USAID and the money laundering of U.S. taxpayer dollars and the elections and electronic voting systems. It's all related. It's all part of a single grand conspiracy that really a great way of communicating. It was what Obama did. 5 days before taking office, he said, we're 5 days away from the fundamental transformation of America. And you contrast that with Donald Trump's message, which is make America great again. Well, why do you think we need to make America great again? Because Obama was transforming it into something that wasn't American.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to that too. He even said once, I'm thinking back to different quotes. He said something, I forget where he was. Maybe it was Pennsylvania. And he said something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing, well, we'll win here. We control the machines here. This is what he said at one time. And we pulled that quote, we control the machines here, meaning the voting machines.
Well, don't forget Joe Biden's quote, right? We put together the most successful voter fraud organization in history.
In history. But another thing that he did, and another thing that Obama did. Now, I didn't know. I didn't know anything about other than I was a Christian. Actually, I didn't get saved till February 18, 2017, where I gave my life to Jesus Christ. But you go back to, I was invited to the National Prayer Breakfast in D.C. and when I went to the first one I went to, it was Obama, and I was very disturbed. He's up there, and all he was talking about was Muslims and Muslim, and I'm going. I just had this whole feeling of the whole place was just ick. It was like I just felt evil almost in the whole place. I didn't even want to go back. And then, of course, I ended up going to a few more. I went to the one with our great president, Donald Trump, and the whole feeling was even different. And but I just when I went there, I told Kendra at the time, I said, this is weird. It was like bizarre that the first one but that one they did have one of the best pastor speeches I've ever heard in my life. I forget what his name was, but maybe
that was the Navy chaplain.
I don't know, but I thought his last name was Black or whatever. But one of the best speeches for Christianity ever, and it was so amazing. But Obama got up there, and it was like I'm going, what is this? But he was just such a great divider, and people see it. But I did say, you heard me say before, you say it engaged all you Republicans to run, to all these legislators, everything to run. Well, I think he single-handedly. I mean, if people were telling Donald Trump to run for years, I've talked to many of his friends, and they're saying, run. But he needed, I think, that last straw that broke that filled up the cup. I'm running. That was Obama, and we've all seen that speech. I think I'm going to play that on my show tomorrow. That you know what I'm talking about, where Obama gets up there. I think he did it to him twice. He goes, something about where he was. I think the president's called. He's called Obama a name about the president, and he goes, "But but you're never going to be a president." He drops his microphone or whatever. But it's the one where he attacked him, and he's sitting like this, and you could see the president just thinking, going, you know what? I'm going to run, and you are going to be so wrong on everything you're saying there, because his heart was to help save this country. And he was saying stuff 20, 30 years ago going, hey, we're making bad deals with these other countries. They've taken advantage of us. And he's so common sense, problem solution, and knows what it manifests to. I want to tell everybody, make a comment on that. I've spent so much time with him and he can sit there and take something, but he's the best multitasker I've ever seen in my life. And he's one of the best listeners to it. People don't realize that about him. But he can take it and take in the input like a vacuum cleaner and go, here's what we're going to do. And you don't sit around and you don't have 15, that's why things get done so fast, because that's a gift. That's such a gift. And I want to say, Patrick, the stuff that we brought him, I know, I talked to him and I brought a new help right with just one thing, everybody, the employment retention credits, the employee retention credits. I want to tell everybody, give everybody an update there. When I brought him that problem way back in February, this was a nationwide problem. If you stayed open during the China virus and you got your checks, you didn't get your checks the year you stayed open. You got them in 22, 23. Some companies don't even have them yet. and then you reported his income that year. Well, the IRS, Biden's crooked IRS said, oh, you got to go back in time and everybody redo your tax returns, pay money on taxes you already paid for back then. And it was like, it was the biggest mess ever. Well, he got it fixed in March. It came out in March. I don't know if you know this, Patrick. It came out right there in the IRS. You can do it either way. Such an easy problem. The taxes get paid either way. Do it when you got the check, or if you really want to go back and redo your taxes, go ahead. Have a ball.
And that was the 1 tax issue of businesses all across the country, and he solved it right away after getting in office.
He solved it in I was surprised. I went back there again, and I was going to talk to him about it, and my CPA goes, Mike, he already did that. Sorry, here it is. He showed me. I'm going, wow. I was.
Well, you sent that to him earlier, yeah.
But I'm telling you, everybody.
He is very effective.
Right, but here I'm going to tell everybody. So here's how bad it is with attacking my pillow. So you're going to hear this for the first time, Patrick. So every company in the country can do it either way now. Either when you got the check, you report it, you put it in your income. That's what my pillow did. Okay. Well, the IRS, since they've been attacking us for 3.5 years, they had told us, just like everyone else, no, you got to go back and put it back here. So on my employee-owned company, they get bills in the mail for their taxes. Some of them is $100,000. People that don't even have the money going, what? No, you guys, you already paid the tax in this year through losses of my pillow. And anyway, the IRS guy said, this is before there's been about 6 attackers, but this one says straight out, Mike, we know that what the president did, or that, they got this put in, but he said, your audit was done before that was put in, so you're going to have to do it the way we tell you. I'm going, oh, you think so, huh? So we're fighting that. We have to go fight that when it should be, here's the IRS going, okay, you're like any other company. Why am I different? Because I want to speak out and secure our elections? This is horrible what they've been attacking. My employees, I'm sitting in Minnesota right now, fighting to keep my pillow, to keep us going, made in the USA. You know what I told Patrick? I told the media the other day, I tell them this all the time. I go, and I guess when I came out of the courtroom for the verdict in Colorado, and my pillow had won. My pillow was totally vindicated. And here's all the media, that horrible guy from Denver. I forget what his name is. Who's that bad reporter from Denver that always attacks them guys? Kate.
I can't remember the guy's name. I deliberately forgot it. It was
yeah, Kevin or whatever it is. But anyway, I said, you guys, I said, my pillow just won. Why are you going to, I know you're going to twist this and keep attacking my pillow, made in the USA. I've lived the American dream, going from a crack addict to here, that you couldn't do it without freedoms like we have here. And I said, but you guys instead, you're going to attack me and attack my pillow instead of going after the machine companies, the Dominions and Smartmatics and ES&S's of the world. I said, what is your last name, Dominion? I said, I don't understand why you're protecting these and not saying, hey, there's anomalies over here. How come we can't see inside your machines? Oh, it's proprietary? Well, so is a bank's computer, but you get to look in there when there's a bank error. I mean, understand, and the media, they just, it's like they're brainwashed, all these hosts. You heard me say to Kara, when all this gets everything tied together, like you just said, Patrick, you got it all tied together. I guarantee you there's going to be some guilty outlets. Number one, I believe, will be the Washington Post. You can throw Reuters in there, or writers, whatever they're called. Those guys, because I know they were involved in my appeal. They were right there. But Washington Post, I mean, when I got attacked in South Dakota, Washington Post went at the Cyber Symposium. The Washington Post came out and said it was a lie. And I had the police report. I had everything. I got the guy's picture that did it. And they come out. They are part of this. I guarantee the Washington Post. Gee, who owns the Washington Post? Do we remember that? Isn't that
Jeff Bezos?
Jeff Bezos. Oh, yeah,
Jeff
I guess
Bezos
it is.
Amazon.
Okay. And
Yeah.
they banned your book on Amazon. You guys see how all this stuff ties together? You go back to Jack Dorsey that owned crooked Twitter back then, and Mark Zuckerberg. You got they some of these things they have to be tied to it, or they knew about it. Now, should they be charged? You're darn right they should be eventually.
Well, the connections are even deeper than that. Now, Mike, I know you've been out of the loop last week and a half, but they had the Durham Annex report that came out. And one of the findings in that Durham Annex report was a letter from the senior vice president at Open Society Foundation, a guy by the name of Leonard Bernardo. And he highlighted how Hillary Clinton had greenlit the strategy around talking about Trump in association with Russian hackers regarding her servers. And they said, you know what, we need to start talking about the word critical infrastructure. So that critical infrastructure actually ties into your discussion around Washington Post, because remember when we came out with a bulletin out to all the clerks all across the country, said, guys, you need to be aware of who you're doing business with. There's this organization called the Center for Internet Security. They are responsible for managing the critical infrastructure of our election systems all across the country. Here's their ties to the Democracy Fund, which is Piero Madayar. In here, you see that they've got the folks from Open Society are pushing the term critical infrastructure. One of the last acts of President Obama when he left office was to designate our election systems as critical infrastructure. And now we're starting to see how this all fits together, because that's the term that they wanted to go off and use, which allowed him to wiretap the election systems in all 50 states through the Election Integrity Isaac Center and their manager, if you will, the Center for Internet Security. And the Center for Internet Security, remember when we put out our notice to all the clerks advising them of who these guys were, their association with the censorship apparatus and the Election Integrity Partnership, they came out and the first person they contacted, our first group, was the Washington Post, and they put out a hit job on us.
Yeah. Wow. Now, is that CISA? Is that what they call CISA?
No, CISA is the federal agency that under Department of Homeland Security. CIS is who CISA contracted with to manage the EI Isaac Center. So they're the ones that had literally a wiretap of the election system. So they knew what the voter rolls were saying. They knew voter history data from the poll books. They knew what was going on with the election results. They had their finger on the pulse of everything. And you can find out more about this up at electioncrimebureau.com. We still got that data up there for everyone.
Yeah, you guys got to get there, electioncrimebureau.com. CISA, they did a whole thing in South Dakota, a big event on just bashing Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell comes out with, has this, and this. And that was their whole meeting, their whole event, the bash Mike Lindell and his team putting out disinformation. But I will, Patrick, I want to ask you quick. So,
well, wait a minute. Don't forget, though, one of President Trump's executive orders was specifically looking into CISA and investigating CISA and investigating Chris Krebs. So he'll get his.
Yeah, he'll get his. But I want to say this: by Biden, by Obama, making our elections critical infrastructure, part of that's going to backfire on him, because part of that is if you have critical infrastructure, you can't use foreign parts in these machines and certain things like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, fiscal year 19 and fiscal year 23 National Defense Authorization Acts had provisions in it that prohibited the import and use of components from foreign adversaries in the conduct of critical infrastructure components like our election systems. So Obama did it to wiretap our systems, but subsequent laws that were passed afterwards tied the concept of critical infrastructure to these foreign adversaries and prohibitions. And so technically, any of these elections that are being run right now with these equipment, frankly, it needs to be re-examined, because we should not be using this equipment.
And once again, everybody, God uses all things for good for those who believe. So here's evil that set up this stuff to steal our country, everything else, to monitor us, to use the dirty voter rolls, everything with these computers. And because he has to make it critical infrastructure to do something evil, Well, God's using that for good because you know what? You can't use these foreign parts. And these you got this is critical.
And we've got internal emails. Yeah, we've got internal emails from Dominion that highlight that the Dominion ImageCast precinct module, which is sent to John Polis, the Dominion CEO, had 48% of its components manufactured in China. 48%. They know it.
Wow. And they I'm getting a thing of information now. You guys, there's so much information that's pouring out now. I got to get back. I mean, I'm getting texts from people that are watching the show, and I'm going, and you asking questions.
This is citizen-driven journalism.
Yeah. You guys, you know, one of the
Mike, if people want to, if they have breaking news that's happening in their state and across the country that nobody else is reporting on, LindellTV has an email address set up now, news@LindellTV.com. You guys can help make it breaking news on Lindell TV.
I didn't even know that. You're hearing it here for the first time for me, you guys.
Yeah.
What is it? News@LindellTV.com.
Yeah, you can help break the news and get around this stranglehold that
and we're on you. If you bots and trolls out there, we're going to sort through it. We're going to validate it. So
we will. Yes, if you're talking about discovering Sasquatch in Sacramento, California, that may not make the news. Okay, guys? So we are going to be filtering this. But I'll tell you, this is pretty exciting because Lindell TV, you formed this organization because all everyday Americans were being censored and we couldn't get out the news because, frankly, that same organization we were talking about before, the Center for Internet Security, they participated in a organization called the Election Integrity Partnership, which, according to a congressional report put out by the Weaponization of Government Committee, was engaged in active censorship activities in collusion with the federal government. So it's no surprise that we can't hear about the stuff that we're now hearing about election fraud because they had an active censorship campaign in direct violation of our First Amendment rights to free speech. And so you forming Lindell TV was a way around that. And now we got it set up so that everybody who's listening to you can actually be part of the news team and actually send us breaking news at news@LindellTV.com.
And everybody, this just came out today, a big article. They're starting to write about us. Lindell TV is on the OTC market under MLMC. Now we're publicly traded. You can all be a part of that too. We want to expand our voice. We want to be the biggest voice ever because at this time in history, one thing we didn't have 4.5 years ago, we lost our voice when 1.2 million Americans were deplatformed off all the platforms. And all you had in Lawfare when Smartmatic sued Fox News, Newsmax and Fox, and none of them talk anymore about elections if they're like weather channels that don't report hurricanes or tornadoes. And then you got all the fake news that all they do is attack. So we want to make this the home for all your news. You guys can be a part of it both ways. News@mypillow.com, report stuff, and go get stock. Get yourself some stock. MLMC is the stock symbol, the OTC market, and that was really good. That came out today. I don't know if I like that picture or not, but it's okay. They used to do a lot worse.
It shows determination.
It was interesting, everybody. It was interesting, Patrick. I got to tell you about this. So 2 weeks ago, when my pillow won when I won the $5 million challenge, which was so important, everybody. And we're actually going to come back and even do another show on that, how important that this already is in so many things. But we won the $5 million challenge. Now, when I won that, when the federal court overturned it, that hadn't happened in like 40 years, and it was like the odds were millions to 1. Okay. And but I said, you know what? The truth will set you free. We're going to keep going, and we're going to win this. Well, we win that. Now, everybody, a couple of things. Now we're going to get a new trial in Colorado because the judge said the jury could use that $5 million challenge against me. Well, we do need help with that. So you guys, you can check that out at mypillowtrial.com. Help out there, or if you want to help out with the LindellOffenseFund.org. That's all the stuff that we're doing with the election crime bill, the cause of America, all the stuff we're doing to get rid of the electronic voting machine. But now I just went down a little rabbit hole. But what I was going to say was, when this news came out, I'm going, are they even going to let this out that I won, that yes, our evidence was good? Basically, that's the message. I mean, Mike's evidence was good. The sky was corruptly, he said, that was not from the 2020 election. Well, the media, I was very surprised. All of them came out and said the truth. They didn't bash me. Most of them didn't.
In the headline.
And they used good pictures. I mean, I was actually smiling at some. I was going like this. One of them, I was pointing to God.
It's the golden age, Mike. It's the golden age.
But I couldn't believe that. But I do want to report 3 outlets didn't report it at all, you guys. I guess it's not news when I've been hammered for 4 years saying I'm a conspiracy theorist and Mike's evidence is no good. Boy, they all printed that. But 3 outlets did not say one word about the win. And all it would be reporting the news. And let's see if we can guess who they are. Salem Media, Newsmax, and don't go Fox on me, and Fox News. I mean, then you got to wonder why. That should be like the -- story. Hey, Mike Lindell he won. The federal court overturned it. The other outlets thought it was big news, which it was. They actually had to report something good.
Well, Mike, as you know, I track all your media, and so we get a daily update, a daily brief of all the different news stories about you all across the country. And literally, in the wake of that $5 million settlement decision where you were exonerated and didn't have to pay the $5 million, it's the first time that I can remember that every single news feed that I saw coming up in our search was positive about you. So I tell you, I want people to make sure we should feel hopeful. I know we're all in a rush to get these indictments.
And went out to 58 countries too. Did you know that? 58 countries reported that. I mean, that's amazing. But
there's a lot of reason for hope. Yeah, there's a lot of reason for hope. There's good things happening. I've been, and for those who've been watching and following election fraud stuff for a long time, obviously we want to see people in orange jumpsuits and being held accountable. But I can tell you, you've got more inside knowledge than I do, Mike. But I am seeing.
The biggest thing is the biggest thing is, though, we would not just see them in jumpsuits. The biggest thing we all want to see is paper ballots hand counted, everybody. We can arrest people. I don't care when they get arrested. But you know what? If you don't get rid of the tool to steal, then it just gets replaced by another criminal and another criminal. You've got to take away.
Yeah, my prediction by the end of this year, they're gone. By the end of the year, the machines are gone because you've seen what Tulsi Gabbard's already talked about as a DNI and talking about the machines have serious vulnerabilities. We know that they knew that the vulnerabilities were in place, yet they didn't do anything about it going into some key election cycles, including 2020 and 2024. And now I think we're going to see more and more information coming out. And when you tie the information that Tulsi Gabbard is releasing with the fact that it's already against the law to import these systems with components from foreign adversaries like China embedded in them, I think you've got a pretty good impetus to toss these things into the ocean and start over and get back into hand count. And, Linda Rants, when you're ready for that, go to Linda Rants if you go to electioncrimebureau.com and also LindellPlan.com, there's links to a lot of information on hand counting. So guys, we can still conduct elections. We can do it the way we've done for decades prior to these stupid electronic voting systems. Right. And it's not that difficult to do a hand count.
If you want to fund this effort, and thank you, Patrick, for coming on. We're out of time, but LindellOffenseFund.org. You guys, or LindellOffenseFund.com, either one. You guys go there, help get this country, help save the country, and get the paper ballots hand counted. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.
You ever see this guy with the pillows on Fox? My pillow guy, Mike Lindell. He is the greatest. The My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell. And he's been with us right from the beginning.